Alrighty, guys, I'm here at the beach house in Lima, Peru, and I'm going to give my honest opinions on coaches in our industry. And this is very interesting because if there's anyone most in the position to give their opinions, it's really going to come down to very few amount of people. And I am one of them. Since I am the founder of Game Global, I basically centralized the pickup community and started doing panels with dating coaches. So I have interviewed dozens of these guys and had some form of relationship with some of them for years, going all the way back to 2016 in some cases. So I'm going to give my perspective on who I think you might be best suited for and what I have learned from each person that I have learned from on the way as collaborators. So I got some notes. Let's start with Ross Jeffries, since he is basically the godfather of the pickup community. So we met for the first time in 2018, and we were probably connected before that. But I interviewed him in 2018. That was probably my first or one of my very first in-person interviews ever. So it was very interesting. The night before, strange little side quest story here, I had a very bad illness, and I was having sex with a model at the time, and I nearly passed out and fucking died. So that was the morning of, or basically the night before. And I was just so out of my mind. Even in the interview, you could notice that I just have no fucking idea where I am. So I was very retarded in the video. And it's kind of funny. It's cringy for me to look back on, because I'm like, that's not even me. That's just a completely zombified version of me. So that was weird. But aside from that, for what Russ does, he's been doing his thing for a very long time, nearly 40 years when you think about it. He really started off in 1988 and had an incredible journey ever since, being on TV shows, many interviews. Famously in 1992, he had that NBC appearance where he faced about 200 feminists in the audience, and they surprised him with an all-female audience. He didn't know ahead of time. So the producers, this is what he told me, had a grin on their face, and they were ready to unveil their trap on him. But Ross is incredible. His frame control back in 1992, before any of these communities existed, was spectacular. It's the most insane thing you could ever watch in this community. And we got the video on the channel. But to face scrutiny from hundreds of people in front of you and just not give a fuck is just completely hilarious, but also incredibly masculine at the same time. So it's fascinating. As for perhaps the most valuable thing I have taken away from him, which wasn't necessarily useful to me, but just is an incredible thing if I was starting all over again as a new human, that would be his phrase that he told me in several videos. His phrase was this: you don't have approach anxiety, you have opportunity hesitation. And a similar thing, which was also very useful to learn from him, was the idea that everything really comes down to how you construct a language in your mind that dictates how you live your life. Your reality is defined by your language, the language that you choose to use. So one of the other things that is an incredible mind shift for guys, which is super overlooked, is the fact that you shouldn't see cold approach as cold approach and rejection and all that other stuff. Instead, you're extending the opportunity to meet in fun and powerful ways. Oppose that to cold approach, spam approach, or just like flirting and stuff like that. cold approach has a bad name to it sometimes, but if you're just extending the opportunity of fun and interesting opportunities to meet, I can't remember the exact wording he used, but something along those lines. In fun and powerful ways, I remember him saying, that's a better way of doing cold approach. Or not even doing cold approach, but seeing in your mind, visualizing in your mind how to actually communicate with people and socialize. So that's a crazy thing. Now let's do Erik von Markovik, mystery, incredible guy. So it took me maybe 1 or 2 years to chase him down for an interview, which I finally got after a long time. And our interview was 4.5 hours long. It was absolutely insane. And nobody has ever done an interview that crazy and that big with mystery before. So that was massive and fun for both of us. People forget about peacocking and stuff like that. So I got here with me a little necklace. I need a bigger chain because my beard's in the way. The metal parts are made of silver. So this is a seal tooth. I don't wear it much, but I got a bunch of rings and stuff like that. But the reason I'm sharing this, I just have it with me for the sake of the trip. But this is a seal tooth, and there's a story behind it. So I went to a beach. The beach is on Cape Sable Island, and I call it Dead Forest Beach, but it's a pretty famous beach for being pretty much the most southern part of Nova Scotia in Canada on the East Coast. But the weird part about this beach is that there's a dead forest on it, right on the southern point. And people go there from other parts of the country. And it's just tree trunks that were there many years ago. And they're still there, like the foundations of them. So it's a weird vibe. But further up the beach, me and some friends found some dead seals washed up on the shore. So I went up to one of them, and it had like a huge hole in its side and stuff like that. But I could see its teeth, and I was like, you know what? That would make a good necklace. So we yanked out its tooth, used the antibacterial stuff, and I made a necklace out of it. So that's a story behind a piece of jewelry, a piece of fashion, and this is unique to me. I have a story behind it, as opposed to going to basic places like H&M and buying the generic shit that's there that everyone else is buying because the section is so limited in the first place. I don't like wearing things that other people wear. I'm advertising a country right now. I don't wear Nike or random fucking brands. I don't give a shit about Gucci or anything like that. So this is before game. I was always like this, but I only wear shirts that I care about. It could be maybe my favorite TV shows. Aside from that, it's just like inside jokes or stuff like this. Stuff I care about, stuff that's personal to me. So aside from peacocking, which is an interesting thing because I could go on about this for forever, but so one of the most valuable things I took away from Erik for mystery is, this may not be number one necessarily, but it's just a recent thing that we had on a panel. The flinch test. So he explains it very well, but essentially, if you retreat, does she follow you? If you go too close, does she retreat? Things like this, because if you're following back, giving her an opportunity to chase, is she gonna chase? Because if she does, that is a sign of interest. You could call it an indicator of interest, maybe. But that is something that I completely forgot about. And I feel that so many guys are missing out on that little flinch test specifically. So that's an interesting one that is kind of a missing piece on a lot of people's game. Simply allowing room to chase. But this could be done in many ways, but the flinch test in itself, it could be done in various ways. But if you pull back, does she come closer? As simple as that. There are various other ways to do it. I never unfortunately had the pleasure of meeting Mystery, but that should come in the future eventually. And that would be amazing to get to see what it's like in person. Michael Sartain, let's talk about Michael Sartain. Gets a bit of criticism from random directions, but I find Michael Sartain to be one of the most solid guys, like way up there. He isn't the day game guy or, you know, the typical, he's not a pickup artist, basically, but he's a social circle gamer. You could say he's a night gamer. He's a message gamer. And all of those things made me realize the combination between social circle game and message game, or in Michael Sartain's version, his social circle game, which is also mixed with night game in Las Vegas, mixed with his use of Instagram and Facebook, is really incredible. How he sets up his content. Now the stuff he posts is a lot more YouTube-y, like my content tends to be, because I'm a YouTuber now. But since his growth of success, if you saw what it was like before all the YouTube kind of content that is posted on Instagram these days, his content before was super solid without the YouTube-y aspect. But essentially what I'm saying is I know him to be a solid guy. His program is called Men of Action, and he picked like the perfect name for it because that is the kind of person he is. I am the kind of person who is, when I say something, when I say I will do something, that is 100% true. I am not the kind of person who says, I will be there, and then I don't fucking show up. If I have a change of plans, I'll let you know that there's a change of plans. I know what information I have put out there, and I do not back down from my own information. Michael is exactly the same. I know him to whatever he says, like antibacterial bleach, it is 99.9% effective. His word, my word, we like to be 99.9% effective in terms of the correlation between what we say and what we do, because it's so frustrating. And I had a few guys talk to me about this in a few coaching calls recently. So check out Game Global Masterclass. It is frustrating for people in general to just deal with people who say one thing and then it doesn't fucking happen, or something else happens. It's just the words don't line up with what happens. Michael Sartain, his words meet reality fucking head on and with 100% accuracy. So that is a hugely respectable thing that I like in Michael Sartain. I agree with so much stuff that he says. The one thing I disagree with Michael Sartain on is politics. But if that's the only disagreement you have with someone, that's actually a good thing, because politics is a fucking horrific topic. It was something to do with like he believes the American military could take on pretty much every country at the same time. I think that's ridiculous. But if politics is your only disagreement, that's actually a good thing. So, and no criticism there if you actually think about it that way. However, one of the most valuable things I learned from him probably would be his idea of compliance versus attention. So in the pickup community, there's a lot of emphasis on indicators of interest. Oh, she messaged me. That's an indicator of interest. But then that doesn't really mean anything, because she might not actually meet you. You know, every woman who sends you a message, most of them probably aren't going to meet you, depending on who you are and how your message game is. But indicators of interest, that's kind of vague. But compliance and attention is a much more interesting way of seeing it. So he explained attention is above the waist, above the belly button, and compliance is below. So what this means is if you are out at a nightclub doing some night game and a woman kisses you, that's using her mouth. She gives you attention. That's only attention. But if she follows you to your home, she's using her legs. Where is she actually going? If you're on a date, let's look into mystery method version of this. If you're on a date and you're doing these, location jumping things where you just jump to a second location, a third location. She followed you to the second location. She followed you to the third location. Do you think she's going to follow you home to the fourth location? She followed you all this way the entire time. So it's much more likely than, oh, she kissed me. She sent me a message. She replied within 2 minutes and 20 seconds. The point being, it is far more accurate to measure where she actually goes in some sense. If she says something to you, that's attention. If she takes a photo of you, that's attention. If she sends you a nude picture of herself, that's attention. She sent that with her thumbs through her phone, and that image is not real. It does not translate. But if she came over to your house, to your apartment, she used her legs, and she came specifically probably to have sex with you. So that is a far better indicator of interest, but compliance is what Michael Sartain calls it, which is a very solid idea. Now, I probably butchered half the explanation, so I'll drop a link to the clip where he specifies this, but it's a very interesting way of thinking about it, because so many guys go to nightclubs and they go for the kiss, and then they're confused. Oh, she kissed me, but she owes me her vagina. Or, I got a bunch of kiss closes, but nothing happened. I still went home by myself. That's because there was attention, but no compliance. So women love attention, but compliance is what you're going to need from her. There are various other ideas to this, but I recommend looking at the clip we made on that specifically. I met Michael Sartain in person finally in 2023. It was a strange situation because the first debate that I hosted was between Michael Sartain and Markus Wolf. There were a few other people involved. But Dan Bilzerian joined the fucking Zoom call. And I was like, what the fuck? First debate I host and Dan Bilzerian shows up. Unfortunately, that part wasn't recorded because he didn't want to be filmed. But I was basically invited to Las Vegas by Dan Bilzerian, so I went over there, all for free. So it was beautiful, and just for a meeting with Dan Bilzerian, basically. And funny enough, my book publisher was in Vegas at that exact time, but before I arrived and after I arrived. And we're working a bunch of collaboration opportunities out, and he was putting together his program, Sigma Society. But I got to meet Michael Sartain because that's where he also lives. So I got to go to Michael Sartain's apartment and go to one of his events. So after a few years of collaboration, we finally met in person, which was very good. But yeah, I know him to be a super solid guy, and he absolutely believes in the stuff that he does, and I believe in it. And I believe that he's doing some very good stuff. The criticisms he faces sometimes from trolls are pretty unfair ones, like they just make up random things. Or some people confuse social circle game for Michael Sartain's social circle game. And I just discussed this yesterday in one of our master classes on Game Global Masterclass. There's a difference between social circle game and Michael Sartain's social circle game. Michael's version is Las Vegas, bikini models, nightclubs, Instagram. My version, a few years ago when I was living in London, I'm not in London right now, but just to give you my London version, the ICE version, is nightclubs, same thing. I wasn't making use of Instagram as much as I should have, but to a lesser extent, I was using Instagram. Tinder, I was using Tinder. Michael Sartain wasn't using that, as far as I know. And I didn't have any bikini models, but I did just have Tinder dates, co-workers, or just women I met in a variety of avenues. And I would just bring them through dates, and some of these dates would be social circle kind of dates where it's like I'm going to the nightclub anyway. Let me just bring a +1, but I have VIP on stage, backstage access at the nightclub. They don't search me. They don't ID me. Everyone knows me there who's running the place. So it's like VIP treatment basically at no cost. So it's an incredible first date to have. And then they get to meet the women there who work there. So that was my version of social circle game. And there are a few other things that were involved too, like barbecues, for example. But there are different versions of social circle games. So just because you see Michael Sartain's content, that is not necessarily the social circle game that you need or that you will have, because that depends on your personal lifestyle. If you're a lawyer, for example, if you have, there was someone recently who was in healthcare or something on the masterclass call, and yeah, he just can't have bikini models at his professional events. But what he can do is something else. You don't need big titties everywhere. So that's just a marketing thing. It's not just a marketing thing, but it's I call it a marketing thing, but other people would say that in a criticizing way. But I say it's a marketing thing in the sense that everyone loves fucking titties, so it's a marketing thing. So yeah, in that sense, big titties, you could add it to anything and it would be better. So that's just what I'm saying. It's not a marketing thing. It's not a gimmick, but it's great to have in your face. You can't fucking argue with. Even gay men would agree with that statement. Moving on. Todd VanDeHey, Todd V dating RSD Todd previously. He was in the book The Game, and his name throughout the game was Zanius with an X. And he was the guy who stayed in the tent in the backyard or something in Project Hollywood in the book The Game. So if you read The Game, he was there. He's been there for 20 years. Well, he's not still there, but he's been in the game for more than 20 years now. So when someone has been going for 20 years, they're going to have some level of expertise. I have met Todd in person several times, but we never really had deep conversations or anything. He never came onto any of the panels or interviews that I invited him to. I would love to talk to him and interview him. Unfortunately, because he hasn't stepped forward, I don't really have sufficient information to put across in terms of, do I trust him or do I recommend him? But personally, when I was watching his content when I was starting out 9 years ago, I found his videos kind of hard to watch because it just wasn't my learning style. And I just found him a bit hard to listen to. But that's just me personally. However, he was way fucking ahead of his time, probably around 2017 or 2018 or something like that, when he started doing 1 minute, 60-second videos going through various concepts. And instead of the 3-hour rants that everyone was used to on YouTube, Todd would just do these, not every video he was doing this, but he had a series of videos where he was going through concepts very concisely in 60 seconds. And I was like, okay, that works for me. So that was very interesting because because he used to be part of RSD, typical RSD content, especially ones taken from the free tours, would be about 3 hours long. And then it would be, some waffling depending on the instructor, and just a lot of information that you kind of have to sieve through it to get the gold nuggets or the little bits of gold. But Todd was very efficient in that. So I say it was way ahead of its time because this was years before TikTok was a thing, before Instagram Reels were a thing, before YouTube Shorts were a thing. So he has some good ideas in there somewhere. I would just wish that he joins us on the panels, has a one-on-one interview. It's all friendly. And if we can build a closer relationship in terms of business, that would be incredible because he is highly respected in the community and consistently voted one of the best day gamers every single year. Mr. Locario, I never met him in person, unfortunately, but he's a New Yorker and I love New Yorkers. I have a weird love-hate relationship with New York itself, but I kind of relate to it. Yeah, I just randomly got introduced to him by some guy who had me on his podcast. And I just invited his email to my Google Calendar invite for a panel I was hosting perhaps more than a year ago, maybe. And without any context or any any conversation before that, prior to it happening, he showed up, and he was like the first person there on time and everything. So with no messages between us ever, he just not randomly, but he just showed up, which is incredible. I love that because what I have to deal with these panels sometimes is I send out a bunch of invites. The usual people say yes. The super competent people like Michael Sartain will put yes or no if they can or can't make it. And, if something changes, they'll let you know. But Mr. Locario, he's like super efficient with this. He will be there. He'll let you know if he can't. But you give him the invite, and he will show up. He's very consistent, so I love his consistency. It took more than 2 episodes for me to kind of understand his perspective, because the first episode I had him on, and the second one, what he was saying kind of went over my head because I wasn't used to his communication style. But by the 3rd episode, I got to understand more, and editing some of the clips, I was like, okay, that makes sense now. I understand. I get it. Because he's not a pickup artist. He's like a completely different branch of stuff. They got their thing called Real Game No Fury, Game Kings and stuff like that. A lot of what he says makes sense. And I could quite easily argue with some of the things, but at the same time, I could quite easily understand some of them too. So for example, he had some pretty edgy opinions on things or some advice. And one example maybe is when he was debating Markus Wolf, towards the end, he was mentioning, like, I have a 4-year-old daughter. And he was talking about, if you have a daughter who turns 18, 21, whatever, you can't stop her from doing what she wants. And he's right. But Markus was arguing some very good points too, which I probably would agree with Markus more on this one. You have influence. So, you could prevent her from going in that direction. But at the same time, Mr. Locario isn't wrong. Ultimately, she can do whatever she wants, and it does happen. So parenting is just a very complicated thing, but I am one of the few guys in this industry who is a parent. Mystery is a parent. So there's that's an issue you guys should probably leave to us, because the pickup industry is how to meet a woman. And then relationship advice is how to keep a woman. And then I'm at the 3rd stage, how to raise a family and keep a family. And I've gone through challenges with family, but I'll save that for another time maybe. But this is just to say, people really overlook where they're at. This isn't a criticism for Mr. Locario, but I'm at the 3rd stage, so I'm just like, yeah, this is interesting. But he wasn't wrong. So I'll give him that. Yeah, he's super consistent. I got no problems with him. It's funny, entertaining. Any debate that I propose to him, he says yes. He's always up for whatever is going on. He's a happy collaborator. And that is, by my experience, a great sign on how people conduct themselves. Because what I found is those who kind of stay away from interviews or debates or panels. Debates are more, you can at least understand if someone doesn't want to do a debate. But those are 2 different types of people, those who are willing and those who are not. because those who are not tend to have very big weaknesses in their ideologies and their teachings, and they're just afraid of putting them out there, or they just don't have their shit together. But I don't know, maybe I'm just waffling now. I might as well add in Mr. 1950, what I think about him. I think I had 2 appearances of his so far, 1 debate and 1 panel, and he has been incredible. He has some great teachings that from his father that he expressed, and that was very fascinating. I would love to know more about that. He's fucking hilarious. So I love having him on. Just like whatever he says, it's just, you know, it's going to go somewhere. He takes you down his rabbit hole, and then at the bottom there's something interesting. So he's pretty good at the content. So I love having him. Steve the Dean Williams, he can be pretty not shouty, but argumentative maybe. But I love having him on. He's a lot of fun, and he's pretty chill. With, you know, he's like a lion, but I don't know. There's no easy way of expressing this, but there's a fierce side to him, but he's not the guy that goes malicious just because he's fierce. He's fierce, but he's friendly. So it's not like other guys in the industry who, you know, get offended and then they hate you because you have a different point of view. If you have a different point of view, he'll argue fiercely with you, and then at the end, he'll give you respect. Always. So that's I like that. That's admirable. Whereas other people, you know, in debates you see on YouTube, maybe they can be extreme, and then, you know, they wouldn't grab a beer with you after or anything like that. They'll just have a bitter take to it. But there's no bitterness with this guy. I might agree. I might disagree with several things that he said, but, you know, most of those are probably going to be in debates and stuff like that. But these guys get different perspectives. At the same time, there are some things that I agree with and I completely understand. But yeah, I love having the guy on. If we go a little darker into, you know, if we take this to a darker place now, what do I think of John Anthony lifestyle? Well, you guys know what I'm gonna fucking say. You know, the funny thing is, John Anthony lifestyle, I didn't really know anything about the guy. And then in 2020, he invited me to 1 or 2 videos, 1 recording, but split into 2 videos, criticizing Real Social Dynamics because I had a dispute with them years back. That's a completely different topic. But yeah, he was prying me for, I specifically remember him saying, give me the juicy stuff, or the way he said it was a lot more extreme than that. But yeah, I get it. If you're gonna go for some severe views, you gotta be clickbaity and shit like that. But then I heard over the years various claims, rumors about this guy, but it didn't sink in until it happened to me. So I was aware of, you know, maybe he got arrested. Maybe he did some dodgy, creepy things with women. Maybe he had sex with transgenders. But, you know, the evidence, or so-called evidence, you couldn't know which was 100% true and which wasn't. So it was, you know, rumors as far as I would know. But then as time went on, he started criticizing me and the panels I was doing. And it seemed to come from the fact that I made an announcement that I was going to interview Mystery. And he got jealous of that, clearly, because he kept fucking posting. It's like, oh my God, Ice White is getting an interview with Mystery. I want to get an interview with Mystery. Mystery's not replying to me. It's like a 5-year-old having a fucking tantrum. And I have a 4-year-old daughter, so I know what that looks like. But the way he has a tantrum is far worse. I raised my daughter very well, but whoever his parents are, I'm not so sure. He has problems. All this stuff didn't really sink in until he started attacking me. and Michael Sartain, because I know how solid Michael Sartain is, but he was saying stuff that wasn't true. So I was like, okay, I know that's not true about Michael Sartain. And then he started coming in my direction. So I made a video to attack him before he could really make a video about attacking me. So I basically distracted him from attacking Michael Sartain further. This is just some weird strategy. But the next day he uploaded a video attacking me. So he saw my upload and then he rushed to make a video about me, just taking any random information he could, and he just made shit up out of thin fucking air. It's like he got an email from someone called John, and it had a load of random fucking shit in it. It's more funny than it is sad. I don't know. Maybe it's just completely fucking sad that I just find it funny. It had like I can't even remember what the fuck was in there, but it was like the most random shit. It's like they can't even get basic shit right. And he was like, oh, I received an email. It must be 100% true. Let me make a video about this. And it was completely made up. It's like if I received an email from myself declaring myself president, and then I make a video saying, I am president of the United States of America. It's true. An email said it. It's like, are you fucking dumb? There's no other way to fucking express this. It's so fucking stupid. It's fucking hilarious at the same time. So it's just really weird. Okay, this guy's an expert at making shit the fuck up. It doesn't make any sense. I just can't imagine if you've been in game for this long, surely you should focus on producing videos of advice. This video isn't really about advice, but I'm advising you in subtle ways which people I trust and which people I don't. Which people I recommend. So I'm giving you context because I'm in the position, because I centered myself in the very center of the pickup artist community years ago by building a community in the middle and having everyone gravitate towards it. And by doing that, it affected my content. Okay, I get collaborations with coaches, so I get to know them more and learn about their teachings and also get to see what goes on in the background. And what goes on with this guy, it's like, remember Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and there would be those lobbies before the game plays, and there would be like a screaming 7-year-old kid. That's that guy. That's John. That's John Anthony lifestyle. I also imagine, here's another metaphor. He's like a 5-year-old kid on Minecraft or Roblox or something. Like that's his mindset. It's just complete childishness, and it is completely stupid. He'll just drag you down to his level. But I decided instead of waiting for him to make a video on me, I'll just make a video on him. And then that baited him into making a horrific video that makes no fucking sense, that is completely made up. And then he threatened to sue me, and he said, I'm going to get banned on YouTube, and then his videos were removed from YouTube. So the irony is there. I understand that there are people who gravitate towards his content simply because they might resonate with him. So in a weird way, it's kind of like a significant part of his audience is like a lonely sociopath or something. So people who have these dark sides to them, they tend to be attracted to people who are exactly the same. Whereas wholesome people like Mystery, they're going to be more likely to attract the more wholesome people. And a criminal is going to attract a criminal. A gay is going to attract a gay. If I can confirm a few suspicions, is it true that he had sex with transgenders? Yes, there's plenty of content out there where he admits it. Is that a bad thing? There's nothing wrong with being gay. I made videos on this, teasing him about it. He called me the homophobic F word, and he's homophobic, but he had sex with men. So it's a funny thing. Nothing I say is new on this. Nothing I'm going to say is new. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. But I like the fact that Donald Trump got elected, and the first thing he did was sign an executive order that says there are only two genders. So Donald Trump now has an executive order which says you are gay because you had sex with a man. So whatever that means, it means a lot. Thank you, Donald Trump. So anyway, is his coaching good? Are people learning from him? That's not up to me. That's up to his clients. I'm not the kind of person who deletes comments that oppose, or not even oppose, but have a different perspective of whatever the content is. On his channel, I know I said this is nothing new. On his channel, he literally just deletes comments that not even oppose him, but just have a slightly different perspective. I know that for a fact because we tested it. We have seen plenty of accounts, not my accounts, but other people, lots of people have their comments removed. Whereas I would only remove a comment if there's just a straight up troll, just being an asshole to everyone in the comments or something like that. This guy's so paranoid. It's kind of ridiculous. That's why he's scared of going on other people's channels, because he can't control the comments. That's an observation I personally had a year ago, because when you look at his appearance on Suzzcast and 21 Convention, the comments are completely ripping him apart. But you check the comments on his channel, everyone's sucking his penis. It's all positive because he deletes a shitload of comments. And then the comments on my videos, you'll just see a variety of things, but the ones about him, they're just criticizing him because he can't delete them. It's my channel. So he's kind of a control freak, and I understand what that is like, maybe, but it's kind of childish at this point. The guy's 40 something years old and he's just ridiculous. So is he a good coach? I don't have the answer to that, but I wouldn't trust him. I definitely wouldn't trust him with my daughter. I wouldn't trust him with myself, whatever that means. I wouldn't trust him with a damn thing, and I wouldn't trust him with my money. That is my opinion. That is my fucking opinion. That is my legal opinion that I am entitled to have, motherfucker. You know, when someone lies about you, you immediately get to know that they are a liar. That's when I realized that he was a liar, because it's like I have children. It's like when I find a packet of cookies and the cookies are all gone, and I ask, who ate all the cookies? And my daughter comes up to me and says, it was you. And there's chocolate all over her face. That's when you know, well, I didn't eat the cookies. It's all over your fucking face. The evidence is there, but you're accusing someone else who clearly didn't do it. So it's so funny how it works. That is John Anthony Lifestyle's mindset. It's so infant. It's ridiculous. It's, I just can't imagine it because it's so immature, but that's pretty much how he acts. It's like, he does something, the evidence is on him. He's the kind of person who would do it. And then he points the finger at you when you know you didn't do it. So it's just fucking funny. Markus Wolf, he's a legend in my eyes. I haven't met him personally, but anything I invite him to, even if he has a flight to catch, which he has had at least twice, he's there. He had a debate that I was hosting, and he had a flight to catch 2 hours after it started. And yeah, he was there. He was still there instead of going to the airport. So I know him to be a solid guy, pretty reliable. And yeah, he's a legend in my eyes. I haven't met him personally, but game recognizes game. And he sure the fuck knows what he's talking about. And the way that he explains things, His communication style is very good. I like it. It makes a lot of sense, the stuff that he says. The greatest thing I learned from him perhaps could be the fact that he tends to interview the women he had sex with. And that's a pretty good thing to do. So, for example, he would ask them what was the moment that she was truly attracted to him. And then that helped him really learn. So that would be a great recommendation for guys to do, because that then enables you to see, okay, you got this success, but at which point was it solidified? Ask her what moment got her completely wet, what made her super attracted, and collecting that data for a long time is going to be incredible, because most guys would just like go do some cold approach. Let's say they get the phone number. Let's say they get the date. Let's say they get sex out of her, all of that. And then maybe they never see her again. But either way, they don't really get any information from her by directly asking her and using really good, effective communication why it was a success in the first place. At what moment was it sold for her? That kind of thing. So that's something I think is really overlooked in the community. So that is perhaps the greatest thing, or one of the greatest for sure, that I have learned from him. But I just love the way that he explains things. He definitely knows what he's talking about. And 2 years ago, 2023, he was Best Pickup Artist 2023 in the entire world. So he is top of his game right now. I recommend him. Been collaborating with him for a while, and super solid guy I know him to be. So highly recommend. And he is kind of like, I see him as today's Julien Blanc. And there are so many guys who miss RSD Julien from before 2014. He has changed. He's not doing game anymore. He's doing inner game stuff, and he's married. I'm married. But if you want today's version, that's as close as it fucking gets, in my opinion, for who's available today. That's an opportunity you shouldn't miss if you're really resonating with the guy. Justin Marc. Justin gets a lot of criticism from a lot of places. He's an Indian. He's paying women. No, that's not really how it works. People just make these conclusions. Oh, he must be paying women, because that's your conclusion for yourself if you ever get that result, because you got no game. So that's a possibility for you if you learn social circle game. Let me just start with perhaps the greatest thing I learned from Justin. He was here in Lima, not this exact place, but we were both in Lima a few weeks back. And yeah, we have met in person twice. Once in London, England, and second time Lima, Peru. And I know him to be a pretty chill guy. Like he was doing a little house party in Lima, in perfect logistics, you know. And it was incredible. We were at a restaurant and he was doing some content. I get to understand like the back end of how he makes his content, especially like the Instagram stories. And it's just interesting how women play along, because people take it too seriously, but he's really just a chill guy and like on his phone, on his sofa and stuff. Not to say he's not doing game, but it's extremely efficient. It's just funny how just like, you know, he's just messaging people and they fucking show up. And that guy's got some serious message game. And when he combines that with social circle game and night game, it just becomes an incredible combination. Back to like the social circle game stuff. Justin Marc has his own version of social circle game. It's not all big titties Las Vegas, Michael Sartain style, and it's not all my style. Like people are more familiar with Michael Sartain style because he's the dominant force of social circle game. Just like Dan Bilzerian, you could also put up there too. But Justin Marc's version is Toronto, nightclubs, maybe a DJ booth or something similar for me. Same for Michael Sartain. But yeah, it's like club promoting was his thing. I'm not sure if he does that anymore, but I don't know a damn thing about club promoting. But he makes it work in incredible ways. And his social circle game is one of the best in the world. So a lot of people should be looking to him for advice. He's a short guy. Have you seen photos of us together? It's like he's down here, I'm up there. I'm one of the taller guys. He's one of the shorter guys. But he makes it fucking work. Like the woman he was with was fucking taller than him. So all this to say, which I keep saying, and people keep not believing me because I'm tall, but your height really doesn't matter. You could say, oh, it matters 5%, gets you in the door. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the fact that when you're short and you're a fucking king, you're a legend. You're more legendary than the tall guy who's like a king. So yeah, that's why I keep saying being short is a superpower, but we're not here to talk about short people. We're here to talk about Justin. We had a disagreement several years ago, and instead of acting like a little bitch about it, he actually saw the bigger picture, and our friendship was stronger since because, most people would probably become aggressive, fierce, or unfriendly, or whatever you could say. Maybe I'm choosing the wrong words, but unfriendly, basically. Justin was able to communicate even through a misunderstanding or a disagreement, and our friendship or collaboration became much stronger ever since. So he's the kind of guy that you could have a disagreement with and then come out both sides stronger and unaffected instead of, threatening to sue each other or shit like that, just bitter shit. He's not a bitter person. He's a nice person. He's genuinely a nice person. So, yeah, absolutely chill guy. I'm not one to bring disagreements to videos, but I'm just mentioning this because instead of making things ugly, he didn't. So that's a man with integrity, and that's respectable. That's the way it should be. Dan Bilzerian, so he's not really a pickup artist. He did cold approach when he was younger, maybe like a teenager or something. And then he decided, this is not for me. And then he decided to do his own thing, and he made it work in the most incredible way. He became the most followed man on Instagram. Now that's different. Now that's Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, Portuguese soccer player. But back then, in his prime, Dan Bilzerian was the most followed man on Instagram. This was just some random guy. And yeah, maybe you could say he was a trust fund baby or had a rich family, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on where his money came from, where his success came from. And money isn't really part of the equation in what I want to evaluate here. He says money is a tool. So I'm at a beach house right now. There's something like 11 bedrooms. If I built this beach house, it's not mine, by the way, but the principle stands. If I had a shitload of money, I build my own beach house. I'm not paying women by inviting them over. I build the beach house. I invite people to it. They pay for their own transportation. They don't pay me. Or maybe they could, but like an Airbnb or something. But I'm not paying them to come. I just built a place with my own money that I'm going to live in or use as a vacation home or an Airbnb maybe. And my social circle can come over when I'm here and use it for free. They pay for their own transportation. That's not paying women. Although it would be a different thing if you're arranging transportation for them. If you got a shitload of money, then maybe you wouldn't consider that a big deal. Personally, I'm a Jew, so I would never fucking pay anyone for anything. So I'm so cheap, I don't even tip at restaurants, and I'm not even ashamed of it. I just don't fucking care. I would never pay anyone for, pay for their transportation. I had several times when I traveled to another country with a woman, but I never paid for their transport. On one occasion, I had free flights, but for two people. So I just invited one woman, she couldn't make it. invited next, and she was actually my girlfriend. So it sounds kind of funny that I didn't invite my girlfriend first, invited a different woman instead. What I'm saying here is you're paying women if you're paying for their transportation, you're paying for them to come. That's a different thing. But if you're building your own place, they make their own arrangements. That's not spending money on women. That's just, you have property, you have real estate. That's a different thing. The money game concept can be pretty complicated, and I'm not going to lecture everyone about it. I'm a Jew. However, what I do appreciate about Dan Bilzerian's game, social circle game, you can call it, and the combination of message game initially, he built such a powerful fucking brand. And I don't know how much money comes into it or, that kind of thing. But I recommend his book called The Setup because a lot of people will be judgmental about this guy. But he has some very valuable insights in there. And it's kind of like an autobiography, but there are genuinely some good social circle game things in there. And he just went a different direction instead of cold approach and found success that way, not through a cold approach, but through a different way. He joined the first debate that I ever hosted, which was a nice surprise. And I got to meet him in 2023 in Las Vegas. I went over to his mansion, mega mansion, should I say, or mega mansion, depending on the definitions you fucking look at. It's all made up anyway. That place was fucking massive. He had a T-Rex statue, just a T-Rex skull, and it was the size of a fucking car. Bigger than a fucking car, maybe. It was fucking ridiculous. I was like, damn, he's got his own fucking museum in here. And we went downstairs. His place is like a Spanish design, and his place is absolutely beautiful. Massive kitchen and everything. And we had a meeting on his poker table, which was pretty fun. And there's a big fish tank behind it with some crazy looking fish thingies, like his eel from Thailand or something. It was some crazy shit. So that was pure fascination. But that was the day before I was flying out. So unfortunately, I didn't get to go back because we were, it would have been great to have more time, but we only had 2 hours or something. But he has my book. I have his book. I wish we had time to sign each other's copies and that kind of shit, or, do an interview, because that's what I really would make the most out of the opportunity. But our conversation was just private. So unfortunately, nothing was recorded or filmed or anything. Didn't get any photos, nothing like that. So that was a bit of a missed opportunity simply because of very bad timing. But hopefully there's the next time because he's fascinating. Alex Vilenchik, Playing with Fire. For years, this guy was basically my most similar competitor. I was vaguely familiar with the type of stuff he was doing. Yeah, Tinder and stuff, basically. But he was doing much more than that. He was doing cold approach videos, escalation videos. He was doing a lot of interesting things that nobody else was really doing. So me and him, our message game advice, nobody really came close to our success in terms of share of influence in the message game pillar of game, because a lot of advice out there, especially from RSD, Real Social Dynamics times, there wasn't much advice on Tinder or social media. There was hardly any fucking advice on social media. The person closest to that was Michael Sartain, and he was only just coming on the radar. He was around for a long time, but he wasn't really coaching as far as anyone knew. So it's very interesting because there was really nobody doing any kind of advice on social media or online dating or messaging in general, apart from a selection of people. And aside from me and Alex Vilenchik, I can really only think of Jeff Allen, RSD Jeffy, who came out with a product years ago. I can't even remember what it's called, but that's long gone, I imagine. But nobody came close to what we were doing. No, we're different people. We're doing different things, but our influence on the message game space was unique, I would say. because, yeah, just hugely, a lot of people just weren't teaching the kind of stuff that he was teaching or that I was teaching. So we were kind of competitors for a very long time because we were the only guys giving message game advice at such scale, basically. Only me, only him. But he had a much bigger YouTube channel and still does. And mine's still very medium at this point. But I started when I had no channel. But I do have a best-selling book. He has his various courses and his massive channel. So he has an incredible amount of influence and a lot of hard work that he has put into his videos over the years. And I don't think there's anyone who kind of comes close to that kind of dedication in terms of putting out advice in terms of message game on YouTube. So a huge amount of dedication there. I would disagree with several things that he says, but those would be like minor disagreements. I only mention it because we're competitors, but they're like 5% disagreements, and then 95% we would probably agree on. So he doesn't spend too much time on the panels, but when he does, he's fun, he's funny, he says some hilarious things, but the points he make are, they're not simple points all the time, but he makes some complex but incredibly useful points. And he's great to have on the panel when he's there. So I really value having him on because his perspective is pretty interesting and pretty unique. The way that he explains things sometimes can be a very good way of explaining it. I'm not so good at explaining things normally. But yeah, he has some super solid fucking points. And I love to hear them when he's on the panel. Unfortunately, I never met him in person. But we'll see. We'll see where life brings us.